Hello, everyone. Welcome to Manjiri Live, Manjiri Monologues, FBLive, FB Chat, whatever you want to call it. This is my fifth session, and I'm so happy to be here to chat with all of you. Well, first and foremost, happy Ganesh Chaturthi to every one of you. You know, Ganpati is my really favorite god. I really have a very special connection with him. I think I can tell him anything and everything, and he really does remove all my obstacles for me. So happy Ganesh Chaturthi and have fun, everyone, today. Well, before I begin, I am going to. Hello, Purnima. Hi, Sonia. Before I begin, I'm going to announce the winners of last week's question. The question was for the trailer 4, and the question is, who is Isabel's husband? What's his name? Well, the answer is Justin, and the winners are, well, there were quite a few entries actually, quite a few answers that came in, but the winners are Ram Mishra and Gauri Basu. Congratulations, both of you. You are both going to get a copy of the trailer 4. I'm going to be sending it soon, so just wait. It should be next week. Okay, but congratulations again, and thank you for watching my FP Live. Well, today's book is Voice of the Runes, and this is the book. I'm going to show it to you. Yeah, okay. So this is the book. It is, hi Bipin. This is the book. It's a destination thriller, and it is the second book after the trailer 4. So it includes Ray Parker, of course, who is the investigative journalist, and he goes to Lund University, which is celebrating its 350th year, and he's invited there, as an ex-student, and to felicitate him. And of course, when he goes there, there's a mystery to be solved. The professor of runology there falls dead while he's giving a lecture, and of course, Ray has to solve the mystery. And the mystery includes clues from runes and a trail again, which they have to follow. So that's Voice of the Runes. And basically, when I wrote the trailer 4, I had to, it was a part of Europe, and it was a part of Salzburg, and it was cozy, and I enjoyed doing it. So when I had to write the second part, the sequel to, to the series, I wanted to do something very different. I just didn't want to keep it, hi everyone, hi Sarita. I wanted to make it a little different from the trailer 4. So I was wondering where I should base my next story. And as it happened, my friend Terry Sundin, who lives in Sweden, in Skana, she said, why don't you come to Sweden? Because, we have Scandinavian crime stories, and we've got lots of mysteries here, and great landscapes and everything. And I was very tempted, but I still needed to find something which was very intriguing, and which, something that would add to the local flavor of that place. And I was wondering what to do when my sister Lena discovered the runes. She's my co-researcher for this book, and she went, yes, happy Ganesh Chaturthi to you too, Gauri. And so she discovered runes, the links to runes, and she sent them to me. And the moment I read it, I just knew it. I said, this is it, and this is where I need to base my story. And of course, the rest is history, as they say. But well, I did go to Terry, and it was an amazing stay, and the whole book unfolded in a very, very mysterious manner, so to say, because the runes really came alive for me. So basically, what are the runes? Now, I'm going to show you a picture. So runes are actually a language. It's a Germanic language, and it has alphabets which are different from ours. They, like we say, we go according to alphabets, they go according to sounds. So I'm going to show you what I have done here. This is just to give you an idea. Yeah, so these are the rune alphabets, okay? And they're printed in the book too. And I'm going to read out just a little bit from the book about runes and where they came from and what about it. It's given in the book too. So in Norse mythology, the Norse god Odin is called the god of magic. And he was the one who extracted the rune wisdom from its source, assimilated it within him in such a way as to be able to bring the knowledge to the world. He hung upside down from a tree for 9 continuous nights, hungry and thirsty, till he learnt what he had to from the runes. In Norse mythology, this is said to be a shamanistic initiation through the nine worlds of the world tree, right up to death, entering the space of death momentarily. This is where the rune wisdom lies and gets integrated into the body. Then the body immediately returns to the Midgard or earth with the rune wisdom encoded into your body and brain and ready to be passed on to the world. That is why this knowledge is sacred and very powerful. And if you know how to use it, it can serve mankind well. So basically, that is what. So runes come in various forms. You have this alphabet which is engraved on rune stones. What are rune stones? They're basically gravestones, placed outside churches in Sweden or these Nordic countries, where they are outside schools, churches, in the streets. They're, memories of loved ones that people kind of almost plant, like stones, and the runes are imprinted and engraved onto the stones. So those are rune stones. The other kind of rune stones are stones that are used in rune divination. I'm going to show you an example of this. So this is used like you use tarot cards or use any such thing. Similarly, you have these kind of, now how can you see this? Okay, can you see this? 1 second. Yes. So these are rune stones. Okay. And if you will see, I'm going to show you just one. You can see this is kind of, okay, engraved onto it. Can you see it? Yes, you can see the alphabet onto it. And so when someone's predicting or something of the kind, they use these kind of rune stones. And of course, each alphabet has a meaning to it, has a kind of a superior, it has a power to it, has a metaphysical connotation to it. So it all depends on how you really read the rune stones. So this is one kind of rune divination. So that's basically, and they were so fascinating. And when I started researching for this book, it was very important for me to actually go and see these rune stones. So when I went to stay with Terry, she and her partner Magnus, they actually took us to, the rune stones in Skana country and all around. And you won't believe it, they're really available on the streets. And that was very fascinating for me because I had never seen a rune stone in my life before. So it was really very fascinating. And they took us to such amazing places and churches, and the walls of churches have certain rune stones kind of built into the walls to form as a support system. And it was really amazing the way they use these rune stones in their day-to-day lives. The other person who really helped me a lot, with all the research, because it does need a lot of research in to base a book in a 350-year-old university, were Petra and Björn Staaf. Dr. Björn Staaf is going to be here with us soon, but Petra is from the administration, and Dr. Björn Staaf is from the archaeology department. He's the assistant professor there, and they took me around the university, and the university itself had a small hill mound where 6 rune stones actually stood in a semicircle. So I felt as if I was in some shamanistic era, and if I could just go there and evoke energy out of it, I could do it. So that is the kind of energy that these rune stones communicate to you. Then so basically the entire research part was very fascinating for me, and I thought I really learned a lot from these rune stones. Well, coming to the book, normally the characters kind of support the story, take it forward, and they support Ray Parker, who is the main character in this whole book. He is the investigative journalist, and he takes the story forward. He solves the case with, of course, some help here and there. And it is his viewpoint that usually takes the story forward. But for this book, I wanted to do something really different. And I thought, I wanted to treat it in a very different manner. So when you write a thriller normally, you have normally different viewpoints, like a story takes place in different parts of the world at the same time, and you get different viewpoints from everyone, and you feel you get the pace of the story. You can take the story forward in a really fast manner. But with this book, what I did was I used Maddie, Magdalena Lindbergh's viewpoint. And why so? Because Maddie is a very important character in the book. She is the the professor's assistant, the runology professor's assistant. And she knows a lot about runes. So when there's a trail left and clues are left in rune language, she agrees to help Ray. But what really happens is that she falls madly in love with him, and so it was a very intense love story. So Voice of Runes is very intense. It's a soul connect. Even the title says, "When souls connect, but vengeance speaks." So in this book, Maddie really falls in love with Ray, and the entire story takes place from her viewpoint, which was a challenge for me because it's a thriller, and you need to have clues and fast pace and something that unfolds in 36 hours. But when you have a single viewpoint, it can get tricky. But I used it as a challenge, and I think the triumph of this book for me is that I feel I succeeded in writing a thriller from a single viewpoint, which is not the detective's viewpoint. Anyway, that's it. We have with us Dr. Björn Staaf, and like I said, he has helped me immensely with this book, and I'm going to add him on now. And let me just say hello to him.
Hello, Manjiri. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Really good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And I'm going to just introduce you a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
Dr. Staaf is an assistant professor in archaeology at Lund University. But more importantly, he and Petra, like I mentioned earlier, have written a book on 350 years of the university. And that book was extremely helpful for me in my research. So welcome to my FB session,
Thank
Bjorn.
you.
Yes, how does it feel to be here?
Oh, great. I'm excited.
That's great.
Yes, when I received your book a year ago, it was really a delight to read it.
Thank you very much. And I like to invite people, to my sessions who really love my book.
Yeah,
It helps. It helps.
of course.
Anyway, so yeah. So I'm going to start asking you some questions right away. Okay,
Yeah.
I would like to know something about your work at Lund University.
Okay,
Can you tell us
I'm
something? Yeah.
working. I'm an archaeologist, and I've worked with Scandinavian, primarily
Yeah.
Scandinavian Iron Age, and also, well, the whole prehistory, mainly focusing on that. But now I'm also doing work on museology and how can you convey archaeology and science or academic studies in a popular way. And that was why I found it so great when you came to Lund and we had these really great talks.
Yeah.
Because that goes in line with the work that I do in museology.
Yeah. So, the Dr. Staff, Lund University is famous for its Nobel laureates too, and a lot of important work goes on there. I mean, we all know it. So, what was your first impression when you heard that I was going to come and write a thriller there based in Lund University? What was your first impression?
I got curious. I got really curious because that is. I haven't met anyone earlier who's, taken this slant on it, and I think that is what got me when Petra told me about your work, that you're going to combine the presentation of Lund and the university where we're working at together with this really exciting intrigue that you were planning to where runes were going to play an important role. That was something that made me really interested in your work,
Yes.
because I haven't heard of anyone doing that slant before.
That's right. I know you said to me that probably I was the first author who came there to write a thriller there,
Yes,
right?
I, I,
Yes, yeah.
I do believe you are.
Yeah, thank you. I feel very
Yes.
privileged. As always, I feel I'm the chosen one.
Yes, you are.
Yes. So,
And then it was also great when you were there and we could walk around in Lund,
yes,
because when you're at the university, it's your everyday environment, and that makes you blind to some
yes,
things that you don't think about those. But then you came along and you well, you made observations on things that I and Peter we hadn't thought about because they were so everyday for us. But then you pointed them out, and then we sort of realized it that, for example, that we hadn't thought about that there were so many runic stones standing in Lund before you came.
I know, and they play such an important role in the book, honestly.
Yeah.
And I remember you showed us the Rune Stone standing right in the library, and
Yeah.
that was the most important stone. It forms one of the climax scenes in my book, and I was so fascinated when I saw it. Imagine having a huge, I think more than 6 feet. How tall was it? How
Yes.
tall is it?
It's
Yeah,
I think it's even 7 feet.
exactly. And these are all preserved and kind of restructured and put in, alignment. And I think it's amazing to have these rune stones all around you, and they have messages, and from their loved ones. And I think it's great. And I remember you took us to the cathedral, and you pointed out those markings on over the door and what they
Mm.
meant. And it was amazing for me. I mean, I remember the chakras, like they call it, the wheels of my brain going creak,
Yeah.
creak. And yeah, because every time you were saying something, the story was forming in my head. And I remember sharing with you some of it with you right there and then, like, can we do this like a doomsday thing? And I
Yeah.
remember this discussion with you very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was also when we walked around that was also really fun to be I really enjoyed it being sort of being I mean you've had the control of the whole creative process, but it was great to make a contribution to it, and you could see that the story was clicking
Yeah, it was.
as we were walking along.
Yeah, it was very exciting for me because I'd never seen Rune Stones, and to have this whole history unfold in front of me was really great.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
and
your book was very useful. Unfortunately, I don't know, I kept it someplace safe, and I can't show it today. But it's a simply great book, and you've done so much research on 350 years of Lund University,
yeah,
and it has contributed immensely to my novel, immensely.
great,
So
thank
thank you
you.
for it. Thank you for
Thank you.
that.
And
Yeah.
I also have to say that I mean, apart from the runes and the runic stories, it's also, I mean, when you read the book, you get the feeling that you are in Lund. I mean, that there are many, you described the backdrop and Lund University. And for example, uh, I mean, Lund University, it's not one of the oldest universities, but it's quite an old university, 350 years old. And also that what you don't think perhaps so, in everyday work is that there are so many really old traditions hanging on
Yeah.
within the university, and that is also something that comes through in your novel.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask you my next question. Well, you've already said how fun it was to be part of this whole book and this whole journey. But I know that you said that you enjoyed reading the book, but do you have a special scene or a special moment in the book? I mean, I'd love to know if you have one.
I mean, the, this comes as perhaps as obvious, but the first chapter is great. I mean,
The
I mean,
first chapter, okay?
yeah, it's when you catch the reader and you get caught into the story direct, and I mean, and you get this thrilling story, you get the mystery of it, and you also get the Lund University with this the dramatic murder and so
Yeah.
on.
Yes. Well,
And
we
you've
have to.
got runes as well. So I mean,
Yes.
you get into the plot direct, and that's, I would say, almost it's like when you look at a rune stone. I mean, the texts there. I mean, that they're not very long, obviously, since they're carved in stone.
Yeah.
But they also have the slight as we both know now. the character of mysteries that they often the Vikings they were fond of having in uh, writing in riddles or metaphors that were sometimes that there is a mystic dimension to the texts, and I think that goes. You can find that in your novel as well. So
Yes.
that was like the beginning of. I enjoyed the book. Although I mean that there are many great segments, but it's if you get the reader like that in the first chapter, then you're hooked.
Thank you. I really love this feedback and I'm going to treasure it. Thank you so much. So, I do believe that rune stones are kind of connected to Norse mythology. So, what is your take on that? I mean, how much of Norse mythology actually is a part of, the day-to-day life of a Swedish person? How much of it?
Um, well, I would say that when Swedes read your novel, they can connect to these stories, and
Okay.
I mean your what you tell about Norse mythology, and I mean the the average reader, I would say, in Sweden would connect to these ideas,
Okay.
and to the stories that you're conveying, like Ragnarök and the end of the world,
Mhm.
and also the Fenris Wolf,
Yes.
uh, and also that there are some people also who like you use runic stones, to divinate the
Yes.
future, and so on.
Yes. Yes. I know. But do you really think that rune stones have metaphysical powers? Do you think so?
Personally, no, I don't.
Yes. That
You
that
know,
is a bit.
that was kind of a predictable answer, perhaps.
I
But
know, but I
as you
like.
know, being an academic scholar, skepticism and so on comes with. But
And do you have a
then
runology
again,
department? Do you have a runology
no,
department?
we haven't. We
Exactly.
haven't got
You,
a runology. We haven't got a runology department. But if we would have had a runology department, I'm sure it would have been the way you described it. But what we
yes.
do have is that we have there are departments for for Swedish language, and there are of course also researchers who do research in Old Norse language, and uh, Old Swedish, and of course then there's also the archaeology department.
Yeah.
And then again, I mean, in the book, in intrigue, and what is particular for Lund University, and is that we have that there is actually a professor in parapsychology
Yes.
at the university, who is um, investigating well trying to investigate at least these phenomena that we might be difficult to explain through normal scientific methods. Or
Yes. Are you? Yeah. Do you mean Professor Edsel Cardina?
yeah,
Yes, I met
exactly.
him. I met him.
Yeah.
Yes, and in fact, he was really very busy. But I pursued him for 10 days till finally the day before I was going to leave. He said, "Okay, meet me for 5 minutes," and I
Okay.
ran. I ran there, and he gave me exactly 5 more minutes. 5 minutes. But in those 5 minutes, I think I got a lot out of him.
Yeah.
We spoke about hypnosis, we spoke about synchronicity, we spoke about shamanism, we spoke about runes, It was an amazing 5 minutes, and yeah, I really felt I got to know a lot from him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I mean speaking about shamanism, that there
Mm.
are the runic and the Norse mythology. I mean, it is deeply rooted in
Yes.
shamanism.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've tried to bring that out a little bit, but well, just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm going to ask you a rapid fire, not a rapid fire, but these quickie
yeah,
questions.
sure.
Yeah. What do you prefer, archaeology or culture?
Oh, that's it. To be hand on my heart, I prefer culture, but then archaeology is a way to get to culture.
Okay.
So
All right.
I see archaeology as a mean to get to culture,
Culture.
if you
All right.
understand. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
but
Okay. Professor.
I mean,
Yeah.
culture is really important.
Yes, of course. And professor or author?
Ooh, tricky one. I would say, we Swedes, we are always sticking in the middle of the road, which
Yeah.
makes it a little bit
Okay.
more boring, perhaps. But I would say that I think it would be if the world only would consist of professors, it would be a terrible world that we were living
Yes.
in.
Yes.
And I think if the world only consisted of authors, it would be a very interesting world, but maybe a little bit too interesting. So I
Okay.
think that with thanks for that we have both professors and authors, and I also do believe that I mean if you have it's really good that we have both, and I do believe that they can complement each other.
Okay. So you would like to balance your time between
Yes, I
being a
would like.
professor and
Yeah,
author. Yeah.
and yeah, yes, I would do that, and that was also what I think was, as I told you about how can we popularly convey academic studies. I mean,
Yeah.
academic studies can sometimes be very, very limited, and
Yeah.
there is some truth to it. I would say that about academics in an ivory tower,
Yeah.
and in order to which is sad because some things that academic scholars do, is really, really interesting, and it's a matter for a wider number of people, and that's
Yeah.
why I think it's so important that we get novels and thrillers that can convey those messages or these research results.
Yes.
That's one thing that I really believe that books like Voice of the Runes is it's a good combination of scholarship
Yeah.
and fiction and fantasy, of course.
Yes.
And I mean, in order to get a thriller, you really have to make it more dramatic, of
Yes.
course,
Yes. Yeah.
and that goes together.
Yeah, for me, what was a challenge was trying to bring in the academics, because obviously the backdrop was Lund University,
Mm,
and I had a responsibility to represent it right. At the same time, there was supposed to be a thriller. It was supposed to be a thriller. So, and I wanted to weave the thriller around the Rune Stones.
mm,
And yeah, and thirdly, all this together had to be, had to unfold in 36 hours, and had to bring in the Ragnarok theory, the
yeah.
current. Yeah, so I think for me the Ragnarok and the doomsday theory was really very challenging. And do you have, as you know, in the present, I don't know if you have any studies at all around runology or Ragnaroks. Does the department, does Lund University have anything to study on present day Ragnaroks?
Currently not. Currently
Okay.
not. And that is um, no, currently not. Yet I think it's the Ragnarok thing is really, really important, and I
Yes.
think that I mean, since we're um, that the idea that people had the idea, and in Scandinavia, the idea of an imminent Ragnarok,
Yeah.
of the
Yes.
end of the world as we know it.
Exactly. Yes.
And sometimes I feel that, are we right now living in the time of Ragnarok for the globally? I mean
Absolutely.
so
Yes.
we're facing so many challenges,
Yeah.
and that I think is could be and the concept of Ragnarok is quite interesting, and that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, I think because it was Sweden and because it was Lund University, I just had to bring this present day Ragnarok into it, and well,
mm,
I thought it was a good idea at that time.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so how long have you been at Lund University? How many years?
Oh, that is. I got my PhD at Lund
Okay.
University in '96,
Okay.
and then I worked at the Swedish Heritage Board and at a number of museums as
Mm.
well, directing research at these museums, and also at the Swedish Heritage Board. And then I returned to the university in 2009.
Okay, fine.
So yeah,
So that's about 12 years.
yes,
12
now
years?
that
Yeah,
yeah
12 years. Okay.
yeah,
So, so in all this time, do you have a favorite Lund University moment or experience?
there are many.
Okay.
One it was we have this graduation ceremony when you get your PhD, which
Yes.
is of course based on very, as you know,
Yes.
these old traditions that we have, and it takes place in the cathedral, as you as you know,
I have used it as I've already used it.
yes,
Yes.
where all these events takes place, and it was. I mean, it was a ceremony where you are invited to go up the stairs in front of the altar of the cathedral, and there the one of the senior professors they give you a ring because
Hmm.
that means that you're getting married to academic scholarship,
Right.
and also they put this wreath of laurel on your head, so you actually get
Yes.
crowned, and all this takes place in using Latin and Latin phrasing. So that was sort of a, a tradition where you really could sense all history going
Yes.
about. That was a great moment. And then, of course, it was also a great moment taking you around university.
Yes, it was really amazing for me too, and for my sister. And well, I'd never been to Lund before, to Sweden before, and for me, all of it together was very thrilling, and
Yeah.
amazing time. Yes. So, any final words from your side about the book, about Lund University, anything at all?
When is the film coming?
Oh wow! Well, wouldn't I love to see it there
Yeah.
tomorrow? Wouldn't I love that? But
Yes.
you're right. I think it would make a great film. If only some filmmakers are listening out there. I don't know any Swedish filmmakers if they would like to come forward and take this book is fine because there are no Indian characters in it. It's entirely Swedish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try
So
to I'll try to spread the word,
please,
and no, but
that would be great.
as I said, when I read it, it was almost that you get these very vivid pictures.
Yeah.
So I had this. It is very inviting. It's filmic
Yes.
in a sense. And
Yes.
if there is a film, I demand to have a role as an extra.
Not extra. Would you like to do the professor's role in it?
Maybe,
The
maybe.
first chapter, the first
Okay,
chapter
the
that you
first
love
chapter,
so much.
definitely. I
The
will.
first.
The first, I will make an excellent death scene. You can see it will be very
Exactly.
dramatic.
Yes, yes, I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would play a fantastic role in it, and I hope one day that it is turned into a film, because I really feel I've put my heart and soul into this book,
Yeah.
and yeah, I feel that I have. I know when someone thinks that you write a thriller, thrillers kind of go into the mainstream and people tend to not look at it in a literary manner, but I
Mm,
really feel that books like The Voice of Rune, even if I'm saying so myself, really are a cut above the others, because there's so much that goes into a book. It's not just the thrill element, it's also the history, the research, the combination of it all together, and like
mm,
you said, a bit of the academics, the trying to justify what you're trying to do, trying to bring in a social message. And I think all of it put together does make a good thriller, and it takes a lot of hard work and contribution of people like you also, and people who have in many ways contributed to the book in many ways. And it's a combined team effort, even though ultimately I write it, but it
mm.
it is a combined team effort. And I would like to thank you and Petra and so many others who have really been a part of this journey of mine. So
Well,
yes,
well,
you want
that,
to.
and I'm sure. I mean, I'm talking on Petra's behalf as well, and
Yes.
we deep thank you, Manjiri, for doing this work, and it was so great working together with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And happy Ganesh Chaturthi to you, which is, I don't know if you know of the Lord Ganesh. So, yeah, so in India, we're celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi for 10 days now. And it's
Oh,
the first day today, so it's a good auspicious beginning. So if you're starting something new, God bless you.
thank you, Manjiri.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye bye. Well, so that was Dr. Staff for all of you, and I don't know if we have time for a reading. Do you want me to do a book reading? It's past five, maybe just a page from the first chapter that Dr. Staff liked so much. I'm just going to do a quick reading, and then if you have any questions, please ask me, and I will try to answer them quickly. So this is chapter one, and yes, thank you, Gauri. Yes, thanks, Purnima. Okay, so this is chapter one, and like I said, this whole book takes place from Maddie Lindbergh's viewpoint. It is she, and it is her love story, and it is kind of her thriller. Okay, so here it is. In memory of the one woman who loved you to the soul and never got back, Magdalena Lindbergh. That was the truth and the whole truth, and it had woven into a nest of thoughts in my head. Had he ever guessed how much I loved him? Did he ever realize how I seized his every word as if it was an offering? How every thought he worded was engraved on my heart forever? He must have realized, of course. He was too intelligent not to. But there was no way of really knowing for sure. And for me, Magdalena Lindbergh, this was not a simple phenomenon. It drove me mad. The yearning that filled my heart and brimmed over from time to time, and the not knowing, the uncertainty of whether that was him, whether he understood it. Did he sometimes ignore me on purpose? My mind vacillated from moments of trepidation and anxiety to extreme love to a surge of anger. But I knew one thing for sure. I wouldn't let this feeling pass into being a trivia. I would capture and freeze the intensity of my love in the words that would create this narration. I would hold on to his memory till we met again, when we met again. Our destinies were entwined in more ways than either of us probably ever anticipated. This tale was more a testimony to my love than what transpired in those 2 days at Lund University. This was his tale as well as mine, and I would tell it as I experienced it. It was love at first sight. The moment he sauntered into the big university hall, a quiet presence in the uproar, as I stared helplessly at the chaos on the stage, afraid to think or budge or do anything, he moved forward and took charge. Not in the loud, calamitous manner as some men do, but with a calm disposition that would soothe the most agitated beings and exuding a quiet reassurance that all would be well ultimately. And I believed him. I believed the silent message he projected in his collected manner and carefully chosen words and followed him around for the next 36 hours like a doting puppy. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi again, and I will see you next Saturday. Bye bye.